Now what do we have on the screen? We have the very famous cowboy of South America. Now many Hollywood films have been made around the high-spirited, brave and honest cowboys of South America. Now where do we find these spirited men? We find them riding over the vast grasslands of the continent. And where do we find these grasslands? Well, we find them as a part of the Central Plains. Now, Central Plains are the fourth major physical feature of the continent of South America that we will be discussing today. So, in our previous lessons, we had learnt about the Andes Mountains that run from the north to south. And likewise, we also learnt about the coastal plains that are narrow, and then we learnt about the eastern highlands. Now besides that, we have another major physical feature, that is the Central Plains. The Central Plains cover most of the center portion of the continent, lying between the Andes Mountains and the eastern highlands. Now as we can see here, most part of the continent is drained by various rivers, and out of all those rivers, the most important and major ones are River Orinoco in the very north, River Amazon being the most important one, River Paraguay, which is a part of a very important river, that is River Parana, and finally we have another major river, that is River Uruguay. Now these five are the most important rivers of the continent of South America, and they have a very influencing effect on the continent because they drain the Central Plains, making them agriculturally rich and fertile. Now over these major rivers, or around these major rivers, we have the major basins of the continent. And these basins include the Orinoco Basin around River Orinoco, the Amazon Basin around River Amazon, and finally the Parana-Uruguay Basin around these major rivers. We'll be learning about each of these basins one by one. Let's start with the most important one. So the Amazon Basin is what we find around River Amazon. River Amazon rises from the Andes on the west and it flows out into the Atlantic Ocean. Now River Amazon is one of the longest rivers of the continent, and it has a very influencing effect over the plains around this region. So River Amazon begins in the Andes Mountains and it flows into the Atlantic Ocean. Now if we take a look at the latitudinal extent of the Amazon Basin, we see that it extends from 5 degree north to 15 degree south latitude. Now as we can see here that it falls around the equatorial region, that is in the equatorial belt, and that is why it experiences rain almost throughout the year. Now because of this, the Amazon Basin is rich with rainforests. So due to the location near the equator, the Amazon Basin is covered with dense evergreen forest called the tropical rainforest. On the map we can see that the Amazon Basin lies between the Guiana Highlands in the north and the Brazilian Highlands in the southeastern part of the continent. We can see that it covers a lot of countries in the northern part of the continent, and these countries include Bolivia, Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia and some part of Venezuela. So it is spread over a lot of countries, almost on the entire northern portion of the continent, and it lies between the Guiana Highlands and the Brazilian Highlands. Now in the Amazon Basin, we have the natives of the Amazon. Now here we have some pictures of the tribal people or the natives of the Amazon that are yet to discover the modern world, and they are the ones who are responsible for keeping the traditional and cultural heritage of the Amazon alive even at today's global time. Now as I mentioned, due to its latitudinal extent, the Amazon Basin has large tropical forests. Now these rainforests are evergreen in nature, and the vegetation here proves to be very important for the country and for the world. Why so? Because the Amazon rainforest is one of the largest in the world, and the scientists believe that they take in a huge amount of carbon dioxide and are thus responsible for 20% of the oxygen that circulates in the atmosphere over our Earth. So the rainforests of the Amazon play a very important role, not only influencing the climate over the Amazon basin, but all around the world. Now, besides this vegetation, it also has some important medicinal plants. So the Amazon basin is rich with medicinal plants that prove to be very important for the healthcare system of not only the countries, but also for people living across the globe. Now, these plants include the lapacho trees that are used for 70% of the cancer treating medicines. Besides that, we also have Una de Ghetto. It is also famously known as cat's claws because the plants have leaves that almost look like a cat's claws. Now, these are important immunity stimulant, right? They also help in inhibiting or resisting the formation of tumor cells. So you see that Amazon basin is not only diversified because of its vegetation, but it also has a very important medicinal value. So that was about the rich flora of the Amazon basin. But we also have a very unique fauna of the same. Now, the Amazon basin is known for a variety or a diversity of unique animals, including different and varied species of birds, insects, snakes, monkeys, and many more. Some of them are yet to be discovered, and scientists are still touring over the Amazon basin, discovering every new species now and then. So here we have pictures of some of the most unique animals found in the Amazon basin. Now, these include the capybara. So we can see that capybaras almost look like beavers. They are very strong swimmers just like them, with padded feet. However, they also have a pig-like body that helps them swim in water bodies that are found in these rainforests and also in the wetlands and seasonally flooded savannas. Now, as we can see here, their eyes, nose, and hairless ears can be located at the highest point of their mouth that they keep up while they are swimming and their entire body is submerged. These help them to stay alerted. So that was a very interesting and unique animal, that is capybara. Now let's move on to another important one, and that is a pair of tapirs. Now, tapirs are mostly found in water and they can also live on land. Now, these play a very important role because they leave behind seeds in their droppings, and they usually do that over burnt lands. So, these are mostly found over burnt forest rather than those that are relatively untouched. So, they help in replenishing and reviving degraded soil and degraded lands. Now, we also have the owl butterfly. Now, these are known as owl butterflies because we can see that they have owl-like eyes on their wings. These are some of the largest species of butterflies as their wings span over 20 centimeters. Now, let's move on to another interesting character in the Amazon basin, and here we have the squirrel monkey. Have you ever heard of the squirrel monkey? Now, why do you think they are known as squirrel monkeys? This is only because of their behavior. The squirrel monkeys are small and they are very fast, just like squirrels. They are arboreal in nature, that is, they spend most of the time over trees, hopping from one branch to another. So, these interesting squirrel monkeys also are a tourist love in the Amazon basin. Now, here we have two very distinct fishes that are found in the water bodies of the forest, and these include the discus fish and the shovel-nosed catfish. Now, these, as we can see, have distinct patterns and colors over their bodies. And so here we looked at some of the most unique animals and the rich fauna of the Amazon basin. So that was the rich and diversified flora and fauna of the Amazon rainforest that exist over the Amazon basin. Let's move on to learn about another important river basin, that is the Orinoco River basin around the Orinoco River. Now, this river basin is separated from the Amazon basin by the Guiana Highlands. Here we have a picture of the Orinoco River that is surrounded by rainforests that cover this region. And finally, we have another important river basin that falls to the west and south of the Brazilian highlands, that is Parana-Uruguay Basin around the Parana and Uruguay River to the west and south of the Brazilian highlands. Now these we can see are the second largest basin after Amazon basin. Now here is an aerial view of the Parana-Uruguay Basin. These again provide rich fertile grounds to the places here, and they also help in the cultivation of various crops, thus adding to the agricultural industry. Now, the Paraguay, Parana and Uruguay rivers combine together and they join to form one river system known as Rio de la Plata. So, these three rivers, you can see River Paraguay, River Parana and River Uruguay come together and they join to form one major river system that flows out into the Atlantic Ocean, and this river system is known as Rio de la Plata. Here we have two important images that show us an aerial view of the river system that we just discussed. Now, right around these major rivers and these major basins, we have some important grasslands. We are talking about the Pampas of South America. Now, the Pampas lie to the south of River Parana over the countries of Argentina and Uruguay. Now, the Pampas play a very important role as they are vast regions of fertile lands. So, these grasslands earlier were fertile lands, but now because of the rich fertility and deep soil, they have been converted into croplands and are now being used to cultivate various crops. So, before we proceed with the lesson, could you help me answer this simple question? What are the flat fertile plains found over Argentina and Uruguay called? Are they known as pampas, prairies, savanna or steppes? They are known as pampas. So the flat fertile lands that are found over Argentina and Uruguay are called pampas. We have an image of the pampas. The pampas were originally grasslands, as I just mentioned, but most of them have been cultivated and turned into croplands, majorly growing wheat. So wheat is one of the most important crops grown over these vast fertile lands. Now these are the same places where we find the very famous cowboys of South America. Let's take a look at these spirited and brave men. So the vast fertile plains are known for the very famous cowboys of South America, and they are traditionally known as the gauchos. Now because they span over these vast fertile plains, they are often known as the symbol of the pampas of South America. So if you ever happen to visit the continent of South America, you must meet these brave spirited gauchos. Now just like the gauchos, we also have some very famous and unique animals that exist over these vast fertile plains. And these unique animals include the pampas fox, the giant anteater, the giant pampas rabbits that are a distinct tourist attraction of these places, and we also have the pampas deer. So in this lesson, we learnt about the fourth major physical feature of the continent, that is the central plains. The central plains are drained by major rivers and can be broadly divided under three important basins: the Amazon basin, the Orinoco basin and the Parana-Uruguay basin. All of these basins are unique in themselves, providing rich agricultural grounds for cultivation and irrigation of crops, and they also provide us with important medicinal plants, so they are rich with unique flora and fauna. So that was an end to our discussion on the physical division of the continent of South America. In our next lesson, we'll be taking a case study of the Amazon Basin. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at deltastep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock test. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it is rewarding too. So register for free now.